All right, we are recording. I'm just waiting to go live.
Okay,
Just,
one sec.
just waiting. Yeah, no worries. And we are streaming, I think. Just checking. Yes, awesome. We are live, we are here, and it's just me and you. But I'll tell you if we have any questions pop up. Thank you so much for joining me today. I very much appreciate it. And guys, if you are watching, thank you for joining as well. Welcome to this one. I feel like I've just done interviews this month, which has kind of been a little bit of a shortcut on my path, but it's been absolutely excellent to have some guest experts in. And I'm super excited to ask all of the questions to Tonya today. So welcome along. Tonya is a plant-based mum of plant-based kids. So I really wanted to bring someone in who has that element of expertise, that element of trust, because she's also a Ditch the Disease coach and a doctor of physiotherapy. So she knows her stuff, guys. She knows her stuff. So welcome along, Tonya. Thank you so much for coming in. I very much
Thanks.
appreciate you jumping in and
Yeah,
answering all of my motherhood questions and disease prevention questions.
glad to be here.
Excellent. So, I mean, I'm happy, before I ask you some questions, I'm happy to just kind of hand the mic over to you. And just if you wouldn't mind just explaining what's brought you to where you are now, a little bit about your backstory, and of course, by all means, talk about the kids.
Yeah, definitely. I say this story all the time, so I hope I remember most of the details. But I started. We were dabbling in plant-based. We watched Forks Over Knives years and years ago, and we were like dabbling with Meat Free Monday and all that stuff. But we were never really that serious about anything. And then in 2018, my spouse was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor, and our whole world like changed, right? And we were doing the chemo and the radiation, and I was like, well, what else can we do, because it's terminal. There's no like, oh, you're going to get better, like, some things will just get better, but that was not going to. So we decided we need to do like literally anything we could, and we spent thousands and thousands of dollars on second opinions and holistic treatments. But one of the things that we decided to do was eat more plant-based, and I was under no delusions that he was going to go vegan, but in the process of doing all that, I learned so much about what plant-based diets can do for health, not just reducing inflammation and improving your immune function, which is what we were doing for him. We wanted him to have those benefits so that his body could just fight harder, right? Instead of like pushing it down with all the other junk. But unfortunately, he did lose his battle with cancer 2.5 years later. So we started doing all that in 2016, and then in 2018 he passed away. And at that point I was like so knowledgeable about all the benefits, and I decided personally that me and the kids, we were going to go plant-based all the way. We weren't really eating meat at that point, but we totally cut out eggs and dairy except for cheese. So cheese stuck with us for a long time. It was just easier than like fighting the fight. I mean, if there's any moms here, you guys know the fight with cheese. It's like horrible. And I live in Wisconsin, and if you're from the States, you know about Wisconsin, but if you're not, it's the land of meat and cheese. So it's very, very hard to like get rid of it completely. But my daughter has severe viral induced asthma. And I know lots of moms out there that have kids with conditions that you're managing that you don't know what else to do. And can't believe that with all my knowledge, and I'd been eating this way for so long, that I didn't put the connection together. So since she was a kid, even since she was 2, she's been in and out of hospital, usually a couple times, like once a year. And she'd be having like asthma attacks because of her viral induced asthma. So it was like a cold, you get a cold, you're at the doctor's office. You get a cold, you're in the hospital. You get a cold, you're at the doctor's office. And she could never get a cold with just us treating it at home and being okay. So fast forward to 2020. So this is about 15 months ago. I was like, she went 3 months in a row, 3 colds, 3 courses of steroids. And 4 years ago, she was actually in the ICU for 2 nights because it was so bad, ambulance ride, the whole thing. Since we took her off dairy, because that was the last thing, right? Got to get rid of that dairy. Since we took her off dairy, she's had like 4 colds without any treatment other than at home. and she's only needed help a couple of times from the doctor. And
Wow.
that would have never happened before. So it's been amazing. So that's kind of a long story, but
No, I love
that's
it.
our
Love it.
story.
Thank
That's how so now we're dairy free, everything. We don't eat any of it anymore.
you.
Yeah.
Of course,
It's been
of
great.
course. So I'm really sorry to hear about that. The reasoning of why
Thanks.
you went, and it's just a crazy journey that you've been on, you and the kids. So I mean, full respect to you for being the amazing person that you are and trooping on and taking all of that knowledge and applying it to so many people and saving more lives as well. We need more of you. So thank you.
Yeah, more of us. We're doing it together.
Yeah, we
I
are.
mean, I don't know. I'm sure your clients are seeing amazing results, but me alone, I dropped 15 pounds. I lowered my cholesterol 65 points. And I used to have like debilitating reflux, and it's like all gone, and it's so great.
Yeah. Talking about reflux, one of my clients messaged me the other day saying, "Oh my God, I haven't had any acid reflux in the last, I think, week or 2 weeks," and it's just incredible how much it can change you. And that on top of all the weight loss that's going on with my clients, and again, yeah, I'm sure you're seeing all of these results with your clients as well. Like it's not just the blood markers, it's the weight, it's the mood, it's the energy, it's everything all in one,
those
right?
are all just symptoms, right? Poor energy, increased weight, like your cholesterol levels, your blood pressure. Those are just symptoms of a deeper thing that's brewing. Maybe it's heart disease, maybe it's stroke, maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's fatty liver disease. Like those are just the things that are brewing if you don't do anything about the symptoms that you're getting.
Yeah, so true.
They're band-aids. Medications are band-aids. Maybe you can do that in the short term to keep yourself safe, but you got to work on yourself from the inside out.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about this today as I walked past. I went for a little walk today, and I walked past a pharmacy branded car, and I just thought, the pharmacy just provides medication, they don't provide a solution. And I thought, oh, that's good content. But my second thought was, pharmacy or these drugs, they don't actually get to the bottom of the issue, which is generally bringing it back up, is lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And so what you're doing with your kids is involving them in the plant-based lifestyle, is you're giving them life. You're giving them a longer life, healthier life, more energetic, and most likely disease and illness free.
Yeah. And I always tell people, like, my kids tell me, they're 6 and 8. They tell me they're not going to be vegan when they're grown. Like they know what it's like to eat the other things, and their mom, I like meat. I'm going to eat it when I'm a grown up. And I'm like, okay, well, you're also only 8. So hopefully you'll change your mind. But I know I am laying a foundation of health that 99% of the children out there are not receiving.
No.
That my kids know what it's like to eat healthy and feel really great. And if they go off to college and have all the cheese pizza and cheeseburgers that they want, they're going to know the difference in how they feel. And I'm really hoping that they'll come back to their foundation. It's all we can do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we are raising a generation full of disease and illness. So bringing kids up into a plant-based lifestyle is not only one of the best things that you can do for their health, but it is the most loving thing. I mean, of course, the reason, there's a reason why I brought you on is because I wanted to talk about disease and I wanted to talk about parenthood, but because I don't have kids. So, I mean, I can't speak from a mother's perspective, right? And that's why I've brought you in. But raising kids on dairy, on meat, on, cheese, on sugary foods, junk foods, processed foods. Yes, it might be convenient.
Right,
but
that's the thing.
What's better, saving a little bit of time here and there, or shaving their life, like time off of their life? Like, that's what you're doing ultimately for the convenience of now.
And it's not just the food itself. Like, it's also teaching them what to do for the future. Like, yes, it's okay to cook and spend time in the kitchen. Now, my kids don't see me cook all that often because I'm the queen of like doing things the easy way. Like, The lot go it's I do things a simple way, you guys. I do not spend 2 hours in the kitchen every week prepping. I do not spend an hour a night cooking. Like, no way. We eat simple food, but we enjoy it and it's done quickly. Like, that's I can't live any other way. I can't spend
No,
hours in the kitchen. It's not my thing.
no, I love it. And do you know what? I was actually speaking to someone today, and got me thinking about convenience, right?
Mhm.
And they said something along the lines of I can't do this lifestyle with my kids because I don't have the time and it's not
Mhm.
convenient. And
Mhm.
going to the shops to grab convenience foods, they're not plant-based. So, it's
Mhm.
easier to not be plant-based.
Right.
But the problem is one, expectations, like the expectations that is expected of us across the board, no matter where you are, is very, very high, right? We have to fit a lot into a day.
Mhm.
We have to be this best amazing parent. We have to fit a lot into the day. And then convenience foods are not even foods anymore. So even the meat-based or dairy-based products, or they're all practically junk food. So you've got to look at that convenience of that isn't actually convenience foods. What is convenience food is vegetables that are pre-prepped, or fruit, or some dip that you can
Yeah.
prepare
Grab an
very
apple.
quickly.
That's pretty
Yeah,
convenient.
yeah, exactly. Better than a chocolate bar, right? Anyway,
Mhm.
I digress. Let's dive into some of these questions, shall we?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I've got 100 questions for the motherhood because I'm just like, how do you do it? So let's start with those. Let's start with those. First of all, big one, big ass one. What do the kids eat and what do they snack on?
They eat what I eat, honestly. And of course, I don't love all the foods I prepare. Like, they're not like my favorite 4-course meals that I would make if I was like living the life by myself. Of course, we compromise and I make things that the kids enjoy a little more. And then I make things I enjoy a little bit more. But they eat what I eat. We eat quesadillas, but they're beans and maybe a sprinkle of vegan cheese to appease them, especially when they're beginning, because if you take away their cheese cold turkey, you're going to have a problem on your hands. It's about going slow, you guys. Any improvement is better than no improvement. So trust me, you go slow. I can talk about going slow for days. But we eat plant-based pizza. We just make it at home and they get to pick the veggies that are on there. Or, I know what they like now, so I just put the veggies that I know that they like and we put it on there. And I actually went to a restaurant last week and they got a flatbread pizza, it was a vegan restaurant, and I got them the veggies, and let me tell you, there's like 2 mushrooms on there and 2 little sprigs of spinach, and like my kids were like, where's the rest of the vegetables? Like, I was so happy. I was so happy. But we eat pasta, we eat enchiladas, we eat lasagna. I mean, I'll make it all. We do all the things that every other family eats. It's just a little bit different, right? It's a little different taste. It's a little bit different ingredients. It doesn't take longer. It's just getting used to doing it a different way.
I mean, I think, like, if you think about making like a spaghetti bolognese, right? You've got to fry off the mincemeat first. You've got to prep it. You've got to flavor it. I mean, just throw in lentils. Like,
I know.
it's
Not
not.
harder.
It doesn't take longer. It
They're from
doesn't take longer.
can. Just dump
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And beans in a can, they're already cooked.
them.
You're just marinating them in the flavor, or
Mhm.
softening them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they are actually much more convenient than going for like a chicken breast and cooking that for 45 minutes and then wondering whether you're going to give yourself salmonella.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And it's cheaper. A can of beans costs way less than a pound of ground beef, right? I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
much that costs anymore. I haven't shopped for that in a while. I'm sure it is.
And this is actually another thing that I was thinking the other day. Thank you so much for saying this. Is I was thinking about people who say that plant-based is cheaper. Now, going plant-based, staying away from like fake meats and all of the new vegan fandangly
Yeah.
stuff down in the stores, right? Staying away from that and going whole foods, plant-based, isn't more expensive when you do like for like. So if you're taking out meat, which is going to cost you like what, I'm thinking pounds, you're probably going to be
Yeah.
thinking dollars. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to take away like a thing of that, literally like £6.50, maybe £7 of I'm talking British pounds, sorry, not
It's okay.
weight pounds.
Yeah.
That's like £6 or £7. Whereas if you get like a couple of cups of lentils, that's going to be a couple of p, right? It's going to be like a pound tops.
Yeah.
In terms of like for like, it's so much cheaper. The
So
only
much.
time that it does get a little bit more expensive, I personally think, is when you go whole foods, because you're encouraging and eating more vegetables and less processed things, which aren't actually food.
Yeah, and I find that processed things, I'm picking up your accent. The
I love it,
processed
love it.
foods, I find
Processed.
foods to be really expensive. You can buy a 4-pack of bean burgers, in the freezer section, and they're generally kind of expensive, but you can buy all that stuff and make it, or maybe it's equal. I certainly don't think personally that eating a whole food plant-based is more expensive, because the whole foods are also more filling than anything you're going to buy that's processed. It's going to stay with you. You don't really eat as much of it either. Like if you, I mean, of
Absolutely.
course, going on to the snack thing, of course we have snacks in our house because I have 2 kids and they're constantly hungry and they don't want to eat apples all night long. So we do have some, and they're just not very filling, the junkier ones like pretzels and stuff like that. So I try to like only save those for treats and stuff. But my kids, when they're snacking, I'm like, well, first of all, if you haven't finished your dinner and you're that hungry and you really need a snack, then you can go finish your dinner.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
that mom. I'm totally that mom. You're not
I
getting
say I'm going to
anything
be
else.
that mum. I say I'm going to be that mum, but people say, "Oh, you say this now."
Oh, totally. And you're not always going to win. Oh my gosh, this it's going to turn into a parenting discussion, because you can't always win, and you can't always drive yourself crazy winning, because that's not real life. Real life isn't you are always going to do what I say no matter what. Like that's not real life. We don't want to raise adults that are so like super complacent and compliant with everything that anyone tells them. No, we want to raise adults that are independent thinkers and strong on their own. And like we got to remember that that's real life too, and you can't always be perfect, right? And your kids aren't always going to be perfect, so there's some negotiating room. But in our house we've evolved. I now can tell my kid to eat everything on his plate before he gets his snack. But 2 years ago, that didn't work very well for me. It's an evolution. Everything's an evolution. And once your kids are a little older, if you stick with it and like put the work in, let me tell you, it's been 3 years of hard work with my son to be able to say, you have to finish your food before you can have your snack, and he'll do it and not cry. Because it used to be like a whole meltdown. You know what I mean? It would be a huge deal. It takes time, and be gentle with yourself and do what works for your family, but if you don't stick with it and you're not consistent, they know that, and they're going to get you. Those kids are going to get you. They're going to get you every time. It's like ridiculous. So
Consistency. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like consistency, regardless of what you talk about, consistency is key, right? That's why they say consistency is key. If you're going to say no and then give in after the third ask, then of course they're going to want to keep going for those addictive foods, the sugary foods, the high fat foods, the processed foods, right? They're gonna keep asking because they know that you're going to give in. So that consistency and knowing your boundaries as well. No, I want to raise a healthy child, so I'm going to say no because I know what's best for your future. Again, I can't speak from experience, but I would imagine that's what would go through my head. You wait for all the mothers to come on here and be like, Bianca, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm a mom, and I can attest that I used to say that, like, I'm never going to make my kids something different from what I eat. And you know what? Like I say that they eat what I eat, but they largely do. But of course, I make my kids different meals some nights because I just want something and they want something else. Of course I do. It's just easier sometimes. But I would say most of the time, at least half of the time, we're eating the same foods. I probably just present it a little bit differently because they want everything plain and boring, and I want all the sauce and all the fun stuff.
Excellent. Right, this is only the first question, so I might quick fire a couple through to you. What does school lunches look like? How would you, I mean, do your kids have school lunches? Do you pack them? What do they look like?
Yeah, they don't do hot lunch because it's all just meat, cheese, white bread, and whatever. So I pack them every day. I can't wait till they're 18 and I don't have to pack lunches anymore. But I know that I'm doing the right thing by packing their lunch. So they both have a peanut butter sandwich. Liam likes honey and oatmeal inside of his. I don't know why. So had peanut butter sandwich. They both have an apple, and then they both have just whatever veggies we have or fruits that we have. So grapes, strawberries. It's usually like it's cold lunch, so it's like raw peppers, raw sugar snap peas. My daughter loves frozen peas in hers. I mean, just kind of whatever we have. Sometimes I'll put leftover broccoli in there, and there you go, kids, have a good lunch. I mean, you do what you do it. You put whatever you have in there, and you just do your best, because I hate when they come home and they haven't eaten any of it because they're like, well, I didn't like that. So I do my best to make sure it's foods they actually like, but there's some wiggle room in there. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. How do you get your child to eat cold broccoli? Because I have an 18-year-old sister,
Oh,
20-year-old going on 10. And I don't think she's eaten a single piece of broccoli in her entire life. So how do you get your kids to eat cold broccoli?
cold broccoli. I don't know. I think I'm lucky. Honestly, because I don't know. I've brought it. I don't bring it out of the house very often. So usually when we're at dinner is when we're eating it. But sometimes I'll stick it in my daughter's lunch, and she'll eat it for sure. My son will usually come home. But once in a while they will, or if we are like out and about and we're at like a museum or something, I always bring our food. And we never eat out when we go to museums and water parks and stuff. And I bring
Mm-hmm.
it, and they just eat it. They don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's what I have.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I have. Kids don't understand money either. They don't understand the concept of money. And it takes, like, even teenagers don't understand the concept of money, right? So, explaining to them why they can't have the latest gift, the latest gadget is probably, I would say, is very similar to explaining why they can't have chips or a burger or a hot dog from the stand if
Mhm.
you go out to town or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, my kids have been eating plant-based since they were super little. So it probably would be a little different if I transitioned them now. Like, oh, you can't
Hmm.
have the hamburger, because they don't want hamburgers or hot
Hmm.
dogs. Like, they just don't. But they do see like pizza,
Hmm.
and they just know that, hey, we don't eat that anymore. Because when we transitioned off of cheese, it was trouble, let me tell you.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
especially grandma and grandpa's house, because grandma and grandpa, I hated it always, but I was just like, well, I need a break because I'm a single mom. I need a break. My kids are safe and happy and well taken care of. So I would just like let my parents do whatever they wanted with the food stuff. And they would literally eat cheese, macaroni and cheese, grilled cheese, cheese sticks, pizza, like everything. If it was covered in cheese, that's what my kids would get on the weekends. And my mom was like, yeah, I don't know if that's why she's doing better because of the cheese. And I'm like, oh God, they were pumping it in her veins with like an IV practically, so
Well, that was going to
it
be
was
one of
bad.
my questions. So perfect follow on from there. I want to ask you
Mhm.
now, like, how do you deal with that? How did you deal with that? Like, I
Oh, the
would
social
imagine
stuff.
that, yeah. Because I would
Yeah.
imagine if I was to give my kids to my mother or my father, they would be pumped full of biscuits, chocolate biscuits, burgers, chicken nuggets. And it's that fine line of saying, look, these are my children, not
Mhm.
yours. I want to raise them as healthy beings, but then they're going, oh yeah, but I'm just giving them a treat. I'll just an ice cream. The ice cream truck comes in. I'm just going to treat them to an ice cream. Like, how do you deal with that?
They Food is love to them, right? Like, I
Hmm.
don't understand it because it's not my way of giving love,
Hmm.
but it is my parents' way, and I think it's a generational thing for sure.
Hmm.
So before we switched because of a health issue, it was no meat, but I was okay with the cheese. And it's you have to draw your own line, right? So for you, maybe it's the chocolate or whatever it is, but you have to draw your own line and decide, is this worth it? Is this worth the fight? And for me at that time, it wasn't worth the fight. I was like, you know what? I can't. But now it is worth the fight. So now my
Hmm.
new fight is that like let them have candy. There can't be any dairy in it, but you better believe they're eating jelly beans, and they're eating um like the crappy pancakes from a mix, and they're eating the crappy syrup. It's not even real syrup. They're just pouring it on, like, and you have to just decide what is worth it for you. And for me, is because they're okay with the dairy now, finally, it was a big problem. I'm just like, let go. And you have to decide what's worth it for you. Because do you want the relationship to be there with your family and not be fighting all the time? Or do you
free babysitter?
Yeah, or do you really feel like, no, I need to do this? Or do you get a babysitter? Like, I've thought about that so many times. Like, maybe I'll just get a babysitter instead of sending them to my parents, because I don't want to deal with this. Like, it's hard. And the same thing goes with like the social situations, like you mentioned. Like, when we go to parties, it's a lot easier because I'm there and they know mom's in charge. And I bring other treats for them to eat. And I'll do this at my parents' house too. I bring other treats that I know that they like, but I'm okay with. Like, you guys like this stuff, and we're at this party, so here's the fun food that I don't usually let you have that much at home, but since we're at this party, yeah, go for it. And then, like, when they go to birthday parties, that gets even trickier because I'm not there. So I talk to the mom or dad ahead of time, and I'm like, hey, my kid's gonna eat before they come, but what are you serving? Because I want to bring something that's similar. So I'll bring my own ice cream. I'm like, here's my kid's ice cream. Can you order veggie pizza? One of the kids' parents did that. They were ordering pizza from like a fast food place. And I'm like, my kids can't have dairy. And she's like, oh, it's fine. I'll just order one that doesn't have cheese on it. I'm like, great. So treat it like a food allergy. Because why does it have to be not okay because you're electing to do it rather than being forced to do it?
I can't wait until it's socially acceptable to do things for our health instead of being questioned as to why we're doing things for our health.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
oh
my gosh.
why are your kids vegetarian? Or why do your kids not have dairy? Why do you not why do you not let them have cake? Hang on a minute. It should be, why do you let your kids have cake? Like, come on, when are we going to get to this world, right?
Totally. And I would like to say too that it depends on your comfort level, because before we got rid of dairy for health reasons, I did allow them to have it away from home, because I was like, you know what? We are like 99% compliant at our house. So when we're out, like, it's not as big of a deal, because I'm okay with that. This is just the world we live in, and I personally am okay with that. So like my son, for example, while my daughter can't have dairy at school because of her asthma, I do let my son have cookies and cake that the kids bring in for birthday treats and stuff like that, because he doesn't have a health condition. And I don't think having a cookie once a month from someone's birthday is going to, derail his health. And it's not going to. Just like I'm sure your clients, even though they're losing weight, you can have a cookie at a party and it's going to be okay.
Literally, my client said yesterday, she was like, oh, I had 3 cookies, had 3 biscuits today. And I went, okay, but you didn't have like anything off plan all week? No.
Yeah,
and I went,
right.
Well, fuck yeah, that's a win.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. So you only had 3 cookies today. Excellent. Those 3 cookies aren't going to make you put on weight.
No.
But a healthy salad isn't going to make you lose weight. It's about what you do, everything in between, right? It's that consistency again.
Totally. Yeah. So I try to remember that kind of stuff too when I get it. So, because I think when we're really focused and we're really excited about what we're doing for our family, we tend to maybe, I wouldn't want to say overdo it, but I think that's maybe the word, overdo it a little bit. And we just have to remember that you don't have to be perfect all the time, and that progress is progress. And if you want to slip up, and why do we even have to call it slipping up? I'm treating myself today, and then just get back to it tomorrow. And that's what I do with my kids,
Yeah. I'm choosing an easy option today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Like,
so I mean,
we have convenience foods sometimes, and it's okay.
So if your kids are going to like parties, fairs, events, or the school, when you know that they've got cake or chocolate or sweets around, so you're just saying that you would kind of like pre-pack a couple of things that they don't always have at home, but is better than the options that they would get when they're there.
Or I ask them, hey, we're going to this thing. They're not going to have any food for us. Like, I literally say that there will be no food that I'm okay with you eating, because everything here where I live is covered in cheese or meat.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what would you like to bring? Do you want to bring ice cream? Do you want to bring blah, blah, blah? And I give them options of things that we don't eat every day, but are treats. And they're going to be excited to eat because we don't eat them every day. And then
Yeah,
they can have
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a huge trick as well that I've learned. I don't know why I've learned it, but is giving your kids the option gives them the idea that they are in control. But ironically, you have given them the option. So you are in control. You give them A, B, or C, and then it's kind of like that reverse psychology, right? They then go, "Oh, I'm getting to choose," when actually no, you've got to choose their options for them, but they're just going to then narrow that down.
Totally. Yes.
So instead of them going, "Okay, mum, we're gonna make, I don't know, we're gonna make really unhealthy cookies," and you're like, "Okay, no, we're gonna make either healthy cookies or healthy muffins or some ice cream." I don't know,
Yeah.
as an example, right? So then
Yeah.
you've got 3 healthy options, and they're like, "Oh, what do I want?" And they're so focused on choosing out of those that they've totally forgotten or not realized that the unhealthy things are not even an option.
Yeah. No, it works. It works very great.
Cool. See, the one thing about parenting that I've learned. Awesome. You've got a fussy eater in your household. How do you deal with that?
Like we talked about, consistency is the key. And I mean, I'm going to be talking about this in my upcoming course. So I have like a little module here that I already had prepared. So I'll just kind of go through some of the ideas that I
Yeah,
have.
please.
Of course, I could talk about this for days, but I make my kids try one bite of everything I make. I don't care what it is. I know they're not going to like it. I'm like, okay, try your one bite. And they come up to me with this face, and they're looking at the spoon that I'm holding in front of their face. They're making the face, but they open their mouth, they eat it. And then you know what I do? I thank them for eating it, and I let them walk away. And I'm like, did you like it? And they're usually like, no, but sometimes they do like it. So just making them understand that it's not the end of the world to try something new. Big. I deconstruct stuff all the time. So like mine might be all mixed together, but kids don't usually like mixed together food. So I'm always separating everything for them and making it like more plain. And then mine's like the fun version. I put certain things in smoothies and pancakes and oatmeal because they don't know that it's in there. And even if they do know that it's in there, they don't care because it still tastes really good. Like I put beans and greens in my smoothies. Beans, always, whole can, just dump them right in there. They can't even tell. My son like loves them. And like their oatmeal, I put like cashew butter and I put flax, like, but it's all about going slow. If you make their regular tasting oatmeal totally taste like my oatmeal in one day, they're probably not going to like it very much. It's about creeping it in, and they see me doing it. They know it's in there, but they still love it.
Smoothies, I want to take the note on the beans in the smoothies, just if anyone's watching and going, why would you do that? One, you're increasing your variety of foods that you're having during the day, and having beans at least 3 or 4 portions a day is beautiful, really good for the gut bacteria. But also it increases your protein. So it kind of acts as like a protein powder, as you will. It's because you're boosting the protein and the healthy carbohydrates in that meal as well.
And the fiber. Oh my gosh, fiber is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. And like totally forgot to talk about fiber. Yeah, and the fiber.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I do? We talk about our relationship with food, and sometimes that helps if they're like helping you cook, right? If they help pick out the recipes, they get to the stove and they stir the stuff. Sometimes it helps to get them more involved in things. I make games out of it. I mean, sometimes we'll literally play Candyland at the table, but before they can go next, they have to take a bite. I don't know why that works, but it does. My son's learning how to read. So he's like, write a word for me. And if I read it correctly, then I have to have a bite. I'm like, okay. So I don't know why, but every time we have chili, my son's got to be reading. I don't understand, but I'm okay with it. Let's see. Oh, for the picky eater, when I'll put a few things on his plate. So some parents are real gentle about their food parenting, and they'll be like, oh, I put the 4 things on his plate, and if he doesn't want it, that's okay, as long as he eats the other things, and they can have seconds of the other things. I don't allow seconds until the stuff on your plate is gone. I don't. My kid would eat an entire meal of tofu and never touch the broccoli or the whatever else I put on the plate if I allowed that. And that's fine if that's your method, but I allow my kids to have seconds of the thing that they love after they've eaten the other stuff. because then they're like, oh, well, now I'll eat it. That's fine. But they don't even care. They're like, fine, I'll eat it as long as I get more tofu. I'm like, fine. These kids and their tofu, I tell you.
But I was going to say, that's brilliant that your kids are loving tofu so much.
They love it. I just do it plain, and I don't even know why they like it. It's so boring when it's plain, but they think it's the best thing on the planet. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like,
Awesome.
I don't allow like I said, I don't allow snacks after dinner until their dinner food is gone. And maybe I'm a little more relaxed sometimes, and I'll be like, well, you have to eat half of it, or whatever. But no. If you're hungry, then you go eat your dinner.
Absolutely.
But go slow. That's the biggest part. Go slow. Like, who cares if it takes them a year to like get rid of the cheese on the pizza and be totally veggie on their pizza? Who cares if it takes them a year? It's every day is better than the previous time. Maybe you're adding one more veggie, or maybe you're adding just a little extra of the veggie. Maybe they only want peppers on their pizza. Who cares? Just keep increasing the amount. That's fine. Go slow.
Absolutely. And another thing as well is another thing that I've learned is it takes 10 tries to actually for your brain to decide whether you like something, right? So make it into a game. Draw up a big chart. Like I did this with myself. I forced myself to eat olives 10 times, to eat chili, like spicy things 10 times. What else was it? Mushrooms, a couple of other things, because I didn't like them, but I knew that it took me 10 times to try it. So then you draw up a big chart with your kids, and then anytime they don't like something, it goes up on the chart. That's one cross. Okay, you've got 9 more tries to try it until you tell me that you don't like it. Once you reach the 10th time, then I'll let it go.
Yeah, take it off the menu. Oh, I like that. I'm doing that.
Yeah, and then you can, like, with each time you can cover it up a little bit. So like, maybe you'll roast it one day, like with cauliflower, right? You might roast it, you might curry roast it the next time, you might like put it in a stir fry. So you've got like, or maybe like cauliflower mash or cauliflower rice. So there's all like different ways of having it. So then it also shows the kid or yourself, if you want to do this with yourself. I literally did this with one of my clients with cauliflower, actually, which is the funny thing. We tried it in so many different ways before she was allowed to tell me whether she didn't like it or not. That makes me sound like a parent in my coaching, but it just goes to show you that you can have so many different flavors, textures, and the different way that you cook things and prepare things can completely change the flavor and texture and taste of the food, right? And that's also another thing that you can do with kids. Just draw up a big chart and go, right, 10 times, and then I'll never let you have it again, or never force you to have it again. Sorry.
Yeah, like I don't force my kid to have homemade bean burgers anymore. He hates them, and I've tried so many ways. It's off the menu for him. Now he gets the store-bought ones, and it's like, fine. It's still beans and vegetables.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a question of, are kids going to have enough energy if they go plant-based? I get this a lot in terms of people wanting to be plant-based, but kind of very similar question is like, if I make my kids go plant-based or vegan, are they actually going to have the energy that they need? Are they going to get the nutrients that they need? And I know the answer to this question, but from the mother herself, what does she say?
Well, nutrients, of course, we both know that plants are full of infinite amount of nutrients compared to animal products, right? Especially fiber and all the micronutrients we need. But my kids are not lacking energy. They do all the sports that all the other kids do. They're running around my house like animals and like jumping on the furniture. Like they go to the water parks and they don't stop moving until I'm like literally drag them out. Like they have plenty of energy. That's not a concern at all.
Cool. And so putting your kids on a plant-based diet is actually helping them rather than hindering them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and if the parents are a little more worried about like having the energy, we know things that give you more energy, right? Sugar. So have a little bit more fruit. There's nothing wrong with fruit. I think fruit, I don't know where it got this horrible stigma that, sugar and fruit is bad for you. It is so not bad for you. Have all the fruit you want. There's no limit.
I mean,
like literally.
Fruit's been under the neck, right? Potatoes have been under the neck. Yeah. Like any other kind of carbohydrate has been under the neck. Sugar's been under the neck. And realistically, sugar doesn't make you fat. It's how you consume it, right? What else
It's
has
fat
been
that
under
makes
the
you
nose?
fat.
Oh, yeah, fats. There you go. Fats make you fat. No, no,
Fat
no,
makes you fat.
no, 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 just don't. No. Um, awesome. So kids have plenty of energy on a plant-based diet.
Right.
Um, excellent. Do you notice a difference between your kids and other kids who aren't plant-based?
No. I mean, maybe they're healthier. I notice
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't know because I don't see the other kids, I only see my kids. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know that the family that lives kitty corner to us, and I know they'll never see this, so that's okay. The family that lives kitty corner to us, their kids are sick a lot, like a lot. And I'm always shocked. And I know there's 3 of them, but I mean, they're sick all the time and they definitely eat the standard American diet. And I can't help but wonder if that's why they're sick so often, because
Mm-hmm.
I know eating a whole food plant-based diet is the best way to build your gut,
Yeah.
right? Healthy microbes, which feeds your immune system
Mm-hmm.
and locks everything tight. So you get sick less, you reduce your inflammation. And like, oh my gosh, I'm just so thankful that I fell into this world and like I'm doing the best thing for our family. Like it's
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, 100%. And it's the same for adults. It's the
Yeah.
same for
Oh
kids,
my God.
right? If
Yeah.
you're eating the standard American diet, like you said, exactly what you said, you've got the inflammation in your body. You've it doesn't work for adults, it doesn't work for kids.
It's
Um,
just so scary.
yeah, absolutely. How do you balance motherhood, full-time work, parenting, and all of that on top of preparing your food? Because everyone seems to think that being plant-based is full of food prep and only food prep.
It's not. And there's, I mean, you can do it that way, right? You can come home and cook for an hour every night and chop vegetables for an hour every night, but like I don't. So even, I mean, I work from home now because I'm a coach, so I have a little bit more flexibility, but I worked for an entire year, whole food plant-based by myself, single parent, no help other than I had a nanny to come and take care of my kids because of my work schedule, but she didn't cook. So like, not only that, but 2 nights a week, I wasn't even home to provide any food for my kids. So I had to do that ahead of time. It's all about a little bit of planning and it's not a lot. Like more specifically, if you're the kind of family that really literally don't have any time during the week, even after dinner, then you're gonna have to put in a little time on the weekend. Chop up some veggies, make the rice. Like my staples are I make a grain and I make a bunch of it and I stick it in the fridge or I put half of it in the freezer because it'll last. Grains work great in the freezer. And then I always have a grain and then I always have some veggies and I can literally use those with any meal. So at minimum, if you're making some pasta, you have the veggies already done. You have the rice already done. You can put some beans and some salsa in there and some guacamole, whatever you have in the house. You can buy some convenience foods that are staples and combine them with the few things that I have to make, right? And you can make infinite possibilities. Having a really good sauce is so important because you can like put it on tofu, you can put it on veggies, you can put it on rice, you can put on potatoes. Like, I don't know, am I rambling a little bit?
No, no,
So
no,
what
no,
I
no.
do,
Go.
so either you're the weekend person, which I'm not, I hate that, or you're the during the week person. So if you're like, well, I don't have any time to cook, so you make something simple for dinner on Monday, and then Monday night, then you cook your grains for the week. All you have to do is boil water and wait for it to finish cooking. It's not hard, right? It's just one little thing you have to do. And then Tuesday night, maybe you're making a meal out of that from the grains. And then maybe Tuesday night, you're like, oh, I'm out of broccoli. Steam up some broccoli, stick it in the fridge. You're just waiting. You're not chopping, you're just waiting for it to steam. Put it in the fridge. And then maybe Wednesday night, you have something different. So do the prep after. Don't
Mm-hmm.
delay your meal another hour because you have to chop something up. Have the easy thing, prep your thing for tomorrow after.
Mm-hmm.
Takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes. And then
I
when you
think
come
that's
home,
so.
dump it into a pot. Dump.
Yeah.
Dump and walk away.
I think
Like when
there's
I make
so many different ways
enchiladas.
to do meal prep. It just depends on what works for you and optimizing what
Oh,
works for you.
totally.
Sorry, carry on.
No, when I make enchiladas, it's a 30-minute cook. So I can do that however I want to do it. But the hard part about enchiladas is chopping that onion and chopping my butternut squash. I hate it. I hate it. So I do it the night before so that then that day I just dump it in the pot and I sit and wait for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I don't want to do
Nice.
both on the same day. I don't want to wait for 30 minutes and dump and chop the things up. Oh, that sounds awful.
I want to do that. Like
That's
if you've got out some fruits and vegetables or just vegetables that you need to prepare for a couple of meals, prepare it all at the same time, and it's going to
Sure.
save you time, like getting everything out and washing it. Just I
Yeah.
think preparing and knowing exactly what you're going to have throughout the week is key.
Oh my
That
gosh.
way, you know what you need to chop ahead of time and what you need to
Mhm.
prepare ahead of time, and how you can save time by doubling up, like you said, and making extra rice on a Monday
Mhm.
night, for example.
Mhm. Don't make it for one meal. No, no, no.
No,
You have to make it
no.
for like 4 meals or whatever,
Yeah.
and have your plan ahead, because if you don't plan it all, it's so easy to just be like, well, we'll pop a frozen pizza in, or we'll get,
Mm-hmm.
takeout, or whatever the thing is. It's so easy to just go back to the old way of doing things. But if you even just write it on a Post-it note and stick it on your microwave and have like a loose plan for the week, even if it has to move around a little bit, if you
Mm-hmm.
have it, you're so much more likely to do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
infinitely more likely to do it, because your
Mm-hmm.
family sees what's on the menu too, and then they're happier. They don't want to be surprised either. Maybe they thought they were going to come home to the regular way you cook and then be like, oh no, we're trying the new meal. Your kids are going to freak out. They're going to hate that. Adults don't like surprises either, especially when it comes to kids. You don't want to surprise them like that. When we're making something new, usually they help me pick it out, and then I remind them like, hey, like it'll be like Monday night, hey, tomorrow night we're gonna have this thing that you picked out. Remember, we're having that for dinner tomorrow. Tuesday morning, you better believe, have a great day at school. Don't forget, we're having the thing for dinner tonight. Like remind them they're having the thing. So when they get home, they're not surprised. They're like, okay, I'm having the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just
That's
gotta
a good
help.
tip there as
You gotta
well.
help.
Really good tip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, so we've talked a lot about parenting with plant-based kids, but that's not all you do. That's not all you do. You are also a plant-based coach, but your main focus is on ditching disease, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome. So I'd love to talk a little bit about this. So I've got a couple of questions. Like I said to you, I got more questions for the parenting side than this side. Maybe it's because I know much less about the parenting side than the
Yeah.
disease prevention. So maybe it's because of that, and it's just the questions that I've put together. But I mean, what kind of diseases or illnesses can be reversed, slowed, or prevented with a whole food plant-based diet?
Oh my gosh, so many. And if you guys are at
Shall
all
I just
familiar,
pull this out?
yeah, like let me just get my books from the side of my desk here. How
Like
not to
they'll
die.
list them because my brain
Yeah,
doesn't remember that many.
like I don't know what the statistic is. I don't have those memorized in my brain, but literally almost every disease is reduced if you're eating a plant-based diet, right? Like the risk of getting that disease is reduced by eating a plant-based diet. The more prominent ones or well-known ones that you can prevent and or possibly reverse, but absolutely improve: heart disease, fatty liver disease, um, diabetes, cancer. You can reduce your risk of cancers. Yes, you can. I am not saying I'm going to cure anyone of cancer, definitely not. But what you are doing is you're giving your body the ammunition that it needs to heal itself, right?
Mm,
Our
mm,
body wants to heal itself. That's all it does all day long. All day long, our body is fixing itself. It's trying to improve our immune system. It's trying to reduce inflammation. And if you give it the right tools, feed the right foods, it can do way more things than we give it credit for, I think.
Oh, massively. Our bodies are incredible self
Mhm.
healers, right?
Yeah.
And they know our body knows exactly what it needs to do. Anytime you feed your body with junk, you are sickening it, but it is processing it as best
Yeah.
as it can. The
Yep.
problem is we load it up with junk and sugar and salts and fats and chemicals quicker than it can repair itself.
Yeah.
So
You're
yes, the
constantly
body can
damaging
repair.
it.
Exactly, exactly. So yes, the body can repair itself, but if you're constantly abusing it and battling it and attacking it, it doesn't have time to repair, right?
Mhm.
And on that note, like I literally like if any of you have been in my group, you'll love this book. And just the front page, honestly, heart disease, lung disease, brain disease, digestive cancers, infections, diabetes, high blood pressure, liver disease, blood cancers. kidney disease, breast cancer, suicidal depression, prostate cancer. And one thing, I mean, my husband doesn't have one of these, right? I just looked up there.
I don't think you can be a plant-based health coach without that. Like, it's requirement.
I know, right? One thing as well, dementia, Parkinson's.
Yeah.
We see this with our grandparents. I think it's just increasing. It's just getting to this point now where, I mean, this is quite prominent for me because I look at my gran who, you know, she's in a home and she doesn't recognize any of us, dementia, on late dementia. And I see that and I'm like, I don't want to experience that myself. Like, imagine just losing all of your memories. That would be absolutely horrendous. But these things are preventable.
Yeah. If in this earlier, the better, right? It's never too late to get started, but it's also never too early to get started. And the sooner you make any change, the better off you're going to be. I struggle so hard with people who, you know, don't want to spend the money for whatever reason. They think it's too expensive, or coaching is too expensive, or whatever their reason is, or they're like, oh, it's not the right time, I'm going on vacation. And there will never be a lack of excuses, and there will never be a lack of reasons why it's not the perfect time. You'll never have the perfect situation. Oh, now I can do it. Like, it never is going to be that way. You're always going to have stuff in your way. That's just how life is.
Absolutely. Oh, but I've got a holiday coming up and I want to enjoy myself. Okay, so you're saying that the only way you're going to enjoy your holiday is if you eat meat, dairy, and cheese, which ultimately makes you sick. Is that what you call happiness, right? Where does your happiness lie? You know, where does your money lie? Especially in the States, for you guys, you have to pay for a lot of stuff. The problem with over here is that people can rely on NHS. Yes, it's shite. Yes, it's really slow. But ultimately, you know, you guys, especially over there, have to pay for a lot of stuff. Over here, we do have to pay for some things and private healthcare and stuff like that. But most people just rely on NHS. But yeah, in the States, like, you have to pay for all of that. If you're not paying for it, absolutely. If you're not paying for it a little bit more each week to eat more, like, who doesn't want to eat more, right? To eat more.
Yeah.
Then you're only going to be spending that money on medication, on doctor bills, on physios, on everything, because you're in pain, and, you know, your weight has then had an impact on your joints. Now you're going to someone because you've got joint pain. It's a knock-on effect, right?
Yeah, my friend just had to get an MRI of her back, so it's not really nutrition related, but she had to get an MRI of her back this week. And just as an example for those who aren't in the States, she had to, if she went through her insurance, because she had such a high deductible, which means the amount of money you pay out of pocket before your insurance will pay anything, would have been $3,000 to get this MRI. $3,000 to just get an MRI. That was it. And she's like, so she had to go to a private place. So she paid cash and it was $350. Like, our system, this is a whole other topic, but our system is a little bit messed up here. And it's like, if you put in the work ahead of time and pay a little extra for your food if you think it's too expensive, and do a little extra work here and there, you will have so much benefit, and like avoid the MRIs and avoid the doctor's visits and avoid the medications and the side effects. Like,
we are just like want to shake everyone up and be like, you can live longer and healthier and happier.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, what are the basic steps you'd put in place for someone who is looking to help with disease or illness?
What do I have people do?
Yeah, what would be your top tips for basic steps?
Oh, like, if someone just asked me, like, what would you do? I mean, yeah, so of course I want you to eat more plant-based. I mean, 100%. You got to do literally everything you can. So if you're looking to get healthier and you're like, okay, I want to eat more plant-based, what's my first what's the first thing I should do? And I would say first start reading your ingredients on the foods that you do buy, because no one's going to throw away everything in their pantry in one day. Like, and I wouldn't recommend that you do that, because if you're going to go into deprivation mode and your brain and your body is going to freak out that you can't have your Oreos ever again, and it's not going to last. So you're not going to do that. So start reading your labels and making sure that the processed foods you do choose to buy are more out of convenience, and you're choosing to buy things that have ingredients of things that you recognize. So like, I do buy my own pasta sauce. I don't make it. I buy my own hummus. I don't make it because it's just not worth it for me. And I go through too much of it to go through all that personally. But I know every single ingredient in those foods, right? It's not, there's no high fructose corn syrup or dyes or anything crazy in there. Or I don't even know. Look at the back of like a box of Ritz crackers and you won't recognize any of those ingredients. But if you look on a box of Mary's Gone crackers, every single ingredient I could have purchased myself and made it myself. So read ingredients. And then I would say for the meals that you already like for dinner and breakfast and stuff, know what you really like. If you always have pasta and tacos and pizza every week, start with just one of those things and make it a plant-based version.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't do anything else. Nothing. Not even one other thing that week. Just eat your plant-based pasta. And then in 2 weeks, when you're like, oh, this is good, now it's part of my routine, then pick a different thing. Maybe now you're going to tackle tacos and you're going to make a different filling than the rest of your family. Because that's the biggest part, right? Is like when your family isn't on board with you, you make the taco filling you like, and that's your second recipe. All the other toppings are the same, right? All the other toppings are the same. It's just your one ingredient is different. And then just go with that. It's about going super, super slow, buying things that you know what they are, like real food, and having some grace on yourself, because it's not the easiest thing to do if you're going all in. So who cares if you go slow? You're still better than you were last week or better than you were last month. And before you know it, most of your meals are going to be plant-based and you're going to be seeing all the results. Okay. Those are my biggest, like, how to start things.
Yeah, no, for sure. So basically, if you are faced with illness or disease, as we know, whole foods plant-based, and that's whole food plant-based, guys. That's not just like the random plant-based, especially if you're from the UK. I can speak from experience. The plant-based section in the grocery stores are getting bigger and bigger, which is incredible, but they're just more and more processed shit, right? It's more and more processed junk. There's like vegan meats, vegan sliced meats, and oh my God, I saw this picture of someone's post on Facebook the other day, and it was their vegan haul, and they'd brought home all of the food, and let me tell you, cheeses galore, all vegan, but they're all cheeses galore. Sliced meats are like deli meats, right? Deli meats everywhere, like puff pastries, white bread, like sauces like ketchup and tomato sauce from a can, like soup from a can, and it was all just really processed
and expensive.
Yeah, I was like looking at it going, oh my God, you would have spent a fortune. No wonder why people think this is expensive, because you're choosing those foods, right? So going whole foods plant-based, bringing this back, going whole food plant-based is going to help alleviate, and in most cases prevent and reverse many illnesses and diseases. I was just speaking to Tonya before. I was like, I really want to be careful with the choice of words that I use. I don't want to say cure, because I'm not a doctor, but by God, we know the results of the research, right? It's
giving
all there.
Your body a chance. That's what you're doing. You're giving your body a chance to do what it's supposed to do, and it will.
Yeah,
it will. And I would like to add that I think a lot of people feel like, and I know you're an exercise person, you love to exercise, but if you're like, what do I do? Do I have to like put in, the hour on the treadmill every day? No, the answer is no. You don't have to do that, in my opinion. Like, you could be the exercise queen, but eat all that junk food, and your insides are not going to be thanking you for it. Versus if you just work on your diet and maybe go for a walk. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to spend all those grueling hours on the elliptical machine. That's what I used to do. It was horrible. It's boring. You have to come up all the way to like not go crazy on the elliptical machine because it's so boring.
I mean, freaking hell, I hate the treadmill. I absolutely hate the treadmill. You won't get me on there longer than 5-10 minutes, and that's just my warm up, right? exercise is vital. It's an integral part of
Oh,
life, but you need to make sure that you enjoy it, right? I think that's what you're saying.
oh yeah. But it's not
It needs to be
calorie burn.
enjoyed.
It's not like, oh, I gotta get my 10,000 steps in today because I need to burn this many calories. No, you have to get your steps in because your body craves movement, and it boosts your immune system. It boosts your, dopamine response. I don't know. You probably know all the reasons for the exercises, like why it does what it does to your body, but it's going to put you in a better mood. It's going to make you make better choices throughout your week and your day. Like, exercise is great for those things, but it's not all about burning 1,000 calories on the treadmill. So you
I mean, I
don't
literally went for a walk today with the only intentions of the walk being that I needed more creativity in my brain. Like, I
exactly.
was sitting there staring at my computer. I'm working on a challenge that I'm making, right? A 5-day weight loss challenge. And I'm working on it, and my brain's just gone completely dead. And I'm like, I need to walk. So I went out
Mhm.
for a walk just for
Yeah.
creativity and a little bit of a break away from the computer. And as soon as I go for a walk, it's ridiculous, right? So I like to go for a walk midday without my phone, without my computer, because I'm staring at screens all day. But the problem is when I walk, that's when I get all my ideas, Tonya. Like
Oh, same.
all my all my
I bring my
ideas,
phone.
all of the
I have a
knowledge, it
voice
all comes
recorder.
to me. See, I need one of those.
I bring my voice recorder, or I take a video of myself and then I re-record it later.
Yeah, need that. Need that.
Mhm.
Awesome. One last question from Anik. It wasn't really a huge question, but she has asked me about autoimmune disease. Can a whole food plant-based diet alleviate any of these symptoms?
In short, yes. I mean, we've already talked about how it can improve your immune system and reduce your inflammation, and it just allows your body to do what it's supposed to do, to heal, to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing you can do, first of all, you have two choices: stay where you are right now, or move forward in a different direction. And plant-based is absolutely one of the things that should be priority if you're trying to improve any condition, right? Like anything. And I would also recommend, for those things that you mentioned, Fiber Fuel is a really, really good book. Talks all about the gut and it's how
I
I
got
know,
it too.
girl. It's a really good book about gut health and how it affects the immune function and autoimmune diseases. And like, oh my God, you read your How Not to Die list of things, and the index of this is like the same. It's like a huge list of things that it helps with when you just focus on plant diversity. This is more about plant diversity in addition to just being plant-based, and the benefits of that. It's so outstanding. So check out that book, but yes, start eating more plants and you'll be on your way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Anik talks about chronic pain and inflammation as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or tricks or advice for inflammation and chronic pain?
I mean, other than eating better, of course, you got to do that. But as a PT, I would say making sure that you're moving, because there's nothing the body hates more than being stagnant. And if you are a sedentary person by nature, or maybe because of your job, if you sit all day long, it's going to create tons of postural issues. It's going to create your joints don't get nourished if you're sitting all day long. You like need to move. You need to move your joints, you need to move your muscles. You are going to end up with all these like postural imbalances, like I said. So for chronic pain and inflammation, you got to move your body. You have to. And it doesn't mean, again, we're not talking treadmill for an hour. We're talking going for a walk, doing some stretching.
Swim.
Yeah, swimming. Oh, great. I do yoga. Oh my gosh, I'm a yogi now. I never used to be. I thought it was the worst exercise on the planet, because I was like, how does someone do a downward dog for more than 1 second? Because I thought it was so hard. I thought it was so hard. I started doing yoga maybe 6 months ago, and I do it every single day, and it has changed my body. And I don't do it for very long. I'm not a 90-minute yoga person. I'm like a 15 to 20-minute yoga person, and it is so great. So just find something that you like and do that. If you hate all the things I've suggested, but you like to go, I don't know, swing dancing, then go swing dancing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is.
I've always said there is a sport out there for everyone. So that no matter who you are out there, there is a sport that you will enjoy, right? A sport that will help reduce the chronic pain, the inflammation, what will help you lose weight, increase your cardiovascular, right? There is movement out there that you will enjoy. But I
We have
guarantee
faith.
you, if you don't know what it is, you just haven't found it yet.
Correct. And don't be afraid to go see a physical therapist. Obviously, I'm biased, but there's so many things that physical therapy can help you with, and movement in general, because they're going to have you moving. But I don't think people realize the postural imbalances that they have from having tight muscles and weakness. Oh, especially hip and core weakness. It's insane. If you fix your hip, your outside hips and your core, and you get them stronger, you will have so many changes in your whole body, from the tip of your head down to the tips of your toes. It's insane. Every single patient I ever have, I always test their hips and their core, and they're always extremely weak. And it's like the basis of all of our treatment. So go see a physical therapist to get like a home exercise program. I mean, you can even go on YouTube and find stuff, but you're going to be like scrambling if you do that. So go see a physical therapist. Just get a little
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. It has been over an hour, so I would love to wrap up now. It's been the quickest hour of my life. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can we find you? I'm going to drop in your links into the video, either up or down. I'm not too sure which way it's going. So they'll be clickable. And of course, any questions, guys. Not many people have joined live, but I know quite a few people wanted to join on the replay. So when the replay comes up, if you guys have got any questions, pop them in here and I'll make sure Tonya's around to answer them. But where can we find you and what do you do specifically?
Well, so I do, right now I'm actually working on a group coaching course. It's like a course, plus you get live coaching like this. It would be like this situation weekly. So that's not out yet, but in the meantime, you can hang out in my Facebook group. I will send the link for that. And it's like a long name, I just changed it. I'll send the link for that. And you can hang out in the Facebook group so that when I'm ready to launch the course, they can like hop on in there if they want to. And I do one-on-one coaching as well on a limited basis. So that's always an option as well.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, Tonya. I really appreciate this. I think just to make it easier, I'm just going to kind of close out the Zoom. So I'll chat to you in Facebook Messenger. But thank you so much for joining me. Guys, if you've got any questions, drop them below. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Much love. Bye.